Let's see you, babe. And I brought a friend along to help me show.
You're still pretty though.
My appreciation the right way. Ladies, Mr. Jamie Foxx, Mr. Fox,
At first glance, they seemed like the perfect couple. A beautiful 24-year-old wife, Malia, and her 52-year-old husband, Ron Christopher, a man who appeared to dote on her. What no one could have predicted was what would unfold. Just moments after their wedding, the unthinkable happened. The same man who once showered her with affection would soon become her worst nightmare. In a horrific turn of events, Ron would stalk her and then shoot her dead. In the mid-hours of July 31st, 2025, at around 1:30 p.m., police were called to the Westwood Apartments in Robinson for a report of a multiple shooting. When they arrived, they were met with utter chaos. Not only had Ron shot and killed his wife, but the violence didn't stop there. In a chilling move, he barricaded himself inside her office, holding the scene and others hostage. What followed was an investigation that would uncover shocking truths about their short-lived marriage, revealing dark secrets and hidden motives no one could have anticipated. This case hits even harder when we remember the loss of 35-year-old Luvinia Gardner. She too dreamed of a perfect wedding and even a perfect marriage. But while her life was tragically ended by her husband, who killed her moments after their dream wedding,
I'm gonna kick your.
Yeah.
Who a kid?
You.
You sure you want to take it there?
Bro.
You know my mama was doing when I was a baby.
You're a kid. You're a
You
baby.
gonna tell my business?
You just told everybody your business. I just co-signed.
Don't worry about it. I see what the I got to do.
we covered her story before, and if you haven't seen it, stay tuned. It's one you won't forget. Let's reflect on the life and death of Malia Bess.
This was his wife, my understanding. She worked here at this location, and he came to this location and took her life. And I really wish that we could have done more to prevent this, but we have people that don't know how to deal with emotions, who do not know how to deal with somebody wanting to move on with their life.
24-year-old Malia Bess, originally from Chicago, had moved to Jackson, Mississippi to pursue a new chapter in her life. Eager for a fresh start, she enrolled at Jackson State University, where she excelled in her studies and graduated with a sense of accomplishment and a hope for the future. After graduation, she landed a job as a property manager, a position she truly loved. Malia quickly became known for her professionalism and dedication to her work. Her social media accounts were a reflection of this commitment, posting snippets of her workday, engaging with her followers, and showcasing her passion for her career. She even shared videos of her morning routine, showing how she meticulously prepared for each workday.
Come to work with me as a leasing agent. So usually first I have to bob my way in through the back and get to the office, make sure I have the office door unlocked. I'm usually there at least between 10 to 15 minutes before opening to make sure that, everything's situated. Make sure the blinds are open, office is set up, make sure all the brochures and everything set up on my desk. I'm checking out to see if any notes is left from security or any residents that may have had any issues last night or wanted to leave, something in the rent box, reading my devotion. And then here I am in my planner, writing down everything that I usually need to do for today.
Her bright smile capturing the enthusiasm she felt for the life she was building in Jackson. But despite her flourishing career and seemingly perfect life, the bliss of her new beginnings would soon be overshadowed by her relationship with a man. 52-year-old Ron Christopher Allen. Despite their 28-year age gap, Malia and Ron started dating, their connection growing quickly and passionately. The age difference never seemed to matter to them. Their chemistry was undeniable, and soon, their relationship took a more serious turn. On February 14th, 2025, they tied the knot. Committing to each other despite the many complexities surrounding their union. Malia's friends and family were concerned about the relationship, but she chose to marry him anyway. Ron, however, came with baggage of his own. He was a man dealing with a troubled past. He had struggled with painkiller addiction from his hip surgery for years, and his history was marked by multiple run-ins with the law. His past choices had left their scars, and while he was working on moving forward, it was clear that some of his demons still lingered. Ron was also divorced with 3 children from previous relationships. Malia, despite being aware of his troubled history, believed she could offer him the stability he needed. But as time went on, their life together would be far from simple. Shortly after their marriage, the couple's issues started to escalate. Ron became suspicious of Malia's time spent at work, and his jealousy began to grow. He noticed that Malia was staying late, more focused on her job than before. He soon began showing up at her workplace, the leasing office at Westwood Apartments, to inspect her behavior and monitor her actions. The mounting tension left her feeling cornered. Malia, who had always been driven and career-focused, began to feel increasingly trapped in her marriage. As tensions built, Ron's paranoia spiraled out of control. He believed Malia was having an affair with someone at work, someone he referred to as her work husband, a term commonly used to describe a close, platonic working relationship. But for Ron, the suspicion of infidelity became an obsession. Little did she know, Ron's growing fears were about to spiral into a violent act. On July 31st, Malia headed to work like any other day. She was likely unaware that this would be her final day at the office. As Malia arrived at Westwood Apartments, Ron was not far behind. What started as a normal morning quickly turned into a deadly confrontation. Ron stormed into the office, his face twisted with rage, convinced that Malia had been cheating on him. He didn't care who was around or what the consequences might be. According to witnesses, he didn't hesitate. Ron pulled out a gun and shot his wife Malia 7 times in a brutal, calculated attack. The sound of gunshots echoed through the office, sending employees scrambling for cover. The scene inside the office was nothing short of chaotic. Panic spread like wildfire as the reality of the situation set in. Blood pooled around Malia's body, while those who had witnessed the horrific act were left in shock.
That fatal happening here at the leasing office at Westwood Apartments. In fact, you can even see the blood stains are still on the mat at the front entrance door of the leasing office. We found out Bess worked as a property manager here at the complex. We also learned that her husband, Ron Christopher Allen, is being accused of shooting her 7 times after finding out she had a boyfriend.
Unable to process what had just unfolded. But what Ron did next was even more cowardly. After firing the fatal shots, Ron barricaded himself inside the office, holding the area hostage. His anger hadn't subsided, and now, fueled by the chaos he had caused, he was determined not to surrender without a fight. Following the shooting, Jackson Police, along with the Hinds County Sheriff's Department and other agencies, responded to the active shooter situation. When officers arrived at Westwood Apartments, they found Ron with blood on his shirt. But what happened next would be a battle of wills. What followed was a tense 3-hour standoff. Hostage negotiators from multiple agencies, including the Jackson Police Department and Hinds County Sheriff's Department, quickly mobilized to the scene. They knew time was running out, and every minute counted. They immediately started working tirelessly to establish communication with Ron, hoping to de-escalate the situation. The negotiators made repeated attempts to reach him, calling him, trying to calm him down, and persuading him to surrender peacefully. Each call was met with silence or more threats, but they didn't give up. The community watched in horror as the situation unfolded on their local news. As the hours ticked by, the tension mounted. The police were faced with an armed suspect who was clearly dangerous and desperate. The fear that Ron might open fire on the officers or anyone else in the area was ever present. What no one knew was that the standoff was about to reach its breaking point. At around 3 p.m., after hours of phone calls from law enforcement, Ron finally agreed to surrender. He emerged from the office where he was immediately taken into custody without further violence. 52-year-old Ron Christopher Allen was charged with the brutal murder of his wife, 24-year-old Malia Bess. During his first hearing in Jackson Municipal Court, witnesses testified seeing Ron holding a green revolver while Malia was holding her side. Another added seeing Ron with blood all over his shirt. Another officer testified that Malia had multiple gunshot wounds all over her body. Witnesses from the Westwood Apartments complex described hearing the shots fired inside the leasing office. Another person heard the shots and immediately shut the door, realizing that something catastrophic was happening inside the office. Just before the murder, he had been dealing with the aftermath of a hip surgery, which led to a dependency on painkillers. His addiction had spiraled out of control, and although he had received treatment in New Jersey for 28 days, it was unclear when he had returned to Jackson. He claimed to have been sober since July 3rd, but his actions would suggest otherwise. This was not Ron's first brush with violence. However, it was only after law enforcement started looking deeper into his background that they uncovered a series of violent tendencies. In fact, his previous violent behavior had been directed at his ex-girlfriend, where he was involved in a violent shooting incident. This history of domestic violence was important in understanding why his relationship with Malia turned fatal. Not only that, his DUI charge and subsequent arrest further demonstrated his inability to control his emotions or actions. His spiral into addiction and violent behavior was part of a larger pattern, and Malia was unfortunately caught in the middle of it. But then, a shocking revelation emerged. Ron had admitted to the crime. Two witnesses told police that they called Malia to check on her, and Allen answered the phone, saying he had killed her. This admission would be crucial for the investigation, confirming his involvement and revealing the extent of his guilt. Ron was denied bond due to the egregious nature of the crime. He would remain in Hinds County Detention Center as his case proceeded through the legal system.
Westwood apartment community in Jackson was struck with tragedy Thursday after a standoff turned deadly. 12 News' Delisha Banks has more details about the city's 35th homicide of the year.
Just before noon Thursday, the Jackson Police Department and other agencies responded to the Westwood apartment complex, where 52-year-old Ron Christopher Allen barricaded himself in the leasing office. Inside with him was his wife, who he is charged with shooting to death. Christopher appeared in court earlier today for the death of 24-year-old Malia Bess. Witnesses say they spotted the suspect at the leasing office Thursday, moments before he went inside and shot his wife multiple times. It was also said that witnesses called Bess's phone during the incident, and Christopher answered, confirming her death. The brief standoff ended when Christopher surrendered to SWAT, who was also on scene. Police say he was covered in his wife's blood.
The news of Malia's death sent shockwaves through Jackson. Grief and disbelief gripped the community as they came to terms with the brutal loss of a young woman who had so much potential.
Today, a resident of Westwood spoke highly of Malia Bess's character, stating she was a kind-hearted person. The resident refused to disclose their identity on camera out of fear of their personal safety.
Malia, she was sweet, understanding. I mean, she had the heart of gold, basically. If you didn't have it, she understood you didn't have it. She gave grace. She understood. But I mean, what happened to her, it was terrible. I mean, we wasn't expecting it. And we residents out here, so we most definitely wasn't expecting it. I just hate it.
Her friends, family, and colleagues were left struggling to cope with the tragedy. One of Malia's closest friends, Manisha Simmons, revealed that Malia had actually moved out of the home she shared with Ron due to safety concerns.
Well, we saw the signs, but we didn't see the sign. You know what I'm saying? Like the big sign. We saw that, it was getting to a point where, I told her to go back to Chicago.
Malia had confided in her about the abuse she was enduring, but she didn't know how to escape. She loved Ron, but She also feared him. Ron had been showing up at her work uninvited, harassing her, making her feel unsafe. Manisha recalled how Malia was terrified for her life, even though she never spoke of it openly to those around her. Meanwhile, Malia's roommate, who saw Ron just a day before the shooting, described him as unalarming, but no one could have known how deep his emotional instability and jealousy ran. On that fateful day, that calm demeanor belied the rage and violence that would follow. Malia's family, including her mother and roommates, were devastated by the loss. They had witnessed her strength, her career-driven attitude, and her efforts to help others. She had been so young, with so much potential ahead of her, and yet in one violent moment, that future was taken away. Her mother, who had spoken openly about Malia's love for her job and her efforts to build a better future, was left heartbroken. They had been so hopeful about Malia's career and life, only for it all to come crashing down due to domestic violence. Domestic violence experts testified about the signs of abuse and how Malia's attempts to leave Ron were typical of many victims who tried to escape a toxic relationship. Ron's behavior was rooted in control and manipulation, and while Malia had tried to take steps to protect herself, she was ultimately trapped in the abusive cycle. Malia's family vowed to continue advocating for victims of abuse, speaking out about the importance of recognizing the signs of abuse and offering support to those who need it. They wanted her story to serve as a warning to others that leaving an abusive relationship is not always easy, but it is necessary for survival. Malia Bess's death was a heartbreaking reminder of the dangerous consequences of domestic violence and the tragic results of jealousy and control. The case continues to highlight the importance of raising awareness about the issue and offering better resources for victims. My heartfelt condolences go out to Malia's family and friends during this incredibly difficult time. We stand with them in mourning the loss of such a vibrant and promising life. May she rest in peace, and we hope that justice is served in her memory, bringing closure and healing to those who loved her. What do you think about it? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.